to today's podcast, NELO podcast. It's been a while. I'm sorry, I've been so busy with so many things, especially my research work. I hope everybody is doing well. Today we are going to listen to Professor Uju Anya's comments and what has been trending out there. She's a Biafran like me. So much has been out there in the media. The trending news on the media regarding the Queen's ill health and subsequent death. The global majority of indigenous people have been forced into oppression, subjugation, and tyranny for centuries. And I studied that no one can tell your story. My sister, Dr. Uju Anya, has exhibited just that. I applaud her. Every Biafran lost a relative in the Nigerian Biafran War. I lost my uncle to the war, my dad's brother, who was my only uncle and my dad's only brother, not to mention other relatives. For me, it is heartbroken that many in the world today do not know or have not heard about the genocide that happened in Biafra land, which still happens till date. As we speak this moment, children, women, and youths, even men, are killed daily. In Imo State, mostly. I recently lost a friend to a terrorist called bandits. It is high time Nigeria-led Biafrans gain their freedom. Countless Biafrans in diaspora find it difficult to go back home to see their relatives. Not to worsen it, this is a country where graduates cannot gain employment after their education due to tribalism and godfatherism. I was a victim who could not gain employment in Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation because of my ethnicity, even as a physicist, after I did my youth service program. Thank you. Listen to the video once more. I will now play the video.
So I put the tweet out, and it was already sort of getting reactions by kind of the usual suspects. I have my interlocutors on Twitter, people I talk to regularly or people who come at me regularly.
Right.
So I engaged with the tweet for a little bit. I didn't just kind of put it out there and go, because then people started to immediately attack.
Right.
Because it was something that some perceived as outrageous for me to have said. And I engaged in some back and forth and responding to some people that were saying this and then other people that were saying other things. So it was a bunch of exchanges that I had underneath that tweet. And then it was time to, log off and go mind the business that pays me. So I went to prep for class and eventually go teach my class and, turned off my phone and went out for 3 hours. And then when I came back was when I saw that the world had exploded.
Yes. Yeah. So and
I saw Bezos.
Absolutely. So you're at that point when you go, I guess, on Twitter and your notifications are off the charts.
Yeah.
And you see, we're talking about Jeff Bezos, right? We're talking about arguably the wealthiest man in the world now, really, because then he has a following, right?
Yeah. So what I saw first was sort of the responses to the immediate tweet.
Right.
And then I made the second tweet, which was a follow-up to that, saying
Absolutely.
that I if anyone was expecting me to do anything other than or say anything other than what I did,
yes,
then they could just keep wishing upon a star.
Can I read that?
Please do.
Because this was when I jumped in with my retweet. I don't know what that means, but I was like, oh yes, this is the energy I'm feeling. If anyone expects me to express anything but disdain for the monarch who supervised a government that sponsored the genocide that massacred and displaced half my family, and the consequences of which those alive today are still trying to overcome, you can keep wishing upon a star.
Yeah. In other words, I said what I fucking said.
Right.
Straight like that.
Come on, yeah.
I mean, I was surprised at the scale because this had already flown much further than anything I had ever encountered. But it wasn't that different.
It wasn't
an
your first
experience.
rodeo.
It
You're
was
right.
not my first rodeo.
Like, I've been down this before.
This is Twitter for me.
Absolutely.
Regularly. I remember my worst dragging well till this one was, when I said that Squid Games was racist. That was a dragging across continents in 40 languages, I said the portrayal of the Pakistani immigrant, the way that they had him sort of groveling, deferent. And
I still haven't seen Squid Game yet.
Yeah. The
I've seen one
storyline,
episode,
things like that. So that was, it wasn't abnormal for me.
You just kind of blew my mind, until you said it.
Didn't realize who she was.
No, I'm saying like the show, because that would, if Squid Games was like white people, that would be the black guy.
Yeah.
Kind of that, archetype of like the mystical protector black person that looks out for the star white person. And until you just said it, I never thought of it like that. No, that's
Now
powerful
I know how I feel
analysis.
about
He played the,
Don't start, Miracle.
I brought some parallels
Right.
because every engagement I have on Twitter, no matter how, messy or off the chain or just foolish shenanigans, tomfoolery, I like to teach. I am fundamentally a teacher. And I bring evidence and support for the claims that I make. So I gave examples that in that show, the cultural parallel to what I was familiar with was the noble savage.
Right.
And, Uncle Tom.
Right. Yeah.
And so I went into that, and I didn't want to, say that it was exactly like the Korean context.
Right.
But I just wanted to draw some parallels and make some comparisons. And, anyhow, just to say that was the worst. And I think the second to worst was the last time I talked about the royal family, when I called Prince Harry a jobless clown. And
Even the royal family ain't no smile, brother. Everybody know Harry don't look like Charles, man.
Who said that? Huh? Who said that? You said that? Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, was that
bars from the new album?
Harry don't look like Charles, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, don't talk about Meghan's husband like that.
If you know, you know.
Listen,
If you know,
I
you
know that he is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts,
right,
but I was
right.
just talking about the fact that I didn't see sort of any discernible career or source of income, or he was living in his grandmother's house, and
She's not wrong.
Was
She's not wrong.
marrying, up was what I said, because
Wow.
Meghan came
Yes.
fully formed with a career, with a life, with a history, and sort of brought him up. And that's what I said, and I was ripped a brand new asshole for that one.
Wow.
And okay, that's Twitter.
Yeah.
I just mute and move. And so this is kind of the backdrop. But then when I saw Bezos' tweet, I knew this shit was different.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And I thought to myself, but why? Because I had already seen all the reactions, The Irish were river dancing across the internet.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah, that's a discourse that we've yet to have.
Playing music. They were...
They did the chant at the stadium.
At the football stadium.
Right.
This is in a box.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Damn.
I mean...
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Literally half the planet was overjoyed.
Absolutely. And I had said something about this on social media. I had said the entire world, the longest reigning symbol of imperialism, oppression, racism, genocide, and theft is dead. White people, how dare you mock the majesty?
So I was wondering, why me? When there were so many people, white people, who were saying much worse things, much more violent. I never wished her death. She was already on that path. I never said anyone should kill her.
Semantics.
Right.
All I said was that may she suffer in the way that millions of people have suffered at her hand.
Right.
That is what I said. And Bezos and his dusty ass
Yes.
comes at me and literally puts a target on my back.
Right.
He didn't criticize my words. He criticized me.
Right.
He said that I was not contributing anything to make the world better. And of course, he would be the expert in those who improve the world and do good and are, a boon for humanity.
Right. Right. Right.
So, me?
Yeah.
You, I came back. And I said to him exactly what I thought of him. First of all, I cursed him in my father's language to begin. And secondly, I reminded him that he was a colonizer like that queen.
100%. Yeah.
And that the millions of people that he has harmed in this world, including his employees,
100%. Yeah.
will remember him just as fondly as I do my colonizers.
Wow. And
That's-
he didn't quote tweet that one.
He didn't.
He stepped off his phone on that one.
And funny enough, Twitter detective agency is a brilliant thing,
Right.
because I didn't even have that on my mind, but apparently like within the hour or something, somebody linked it to the fact that previously, because people were asking the big question, why her? Why her?
Right.
What in the world would Jeff Bezos know about Ujjuanya? Like how in the world would Ujjuanya enter into the eye of Jeff Bezos?
Right.
And, Twitter detective agency pulled up a tweet that I had made a couple weeks back
Yeah.
at Netroots Nation,
Yes.
where I met Chris Smalls and I took a picture with him. I was overjoyed. I was elated.
Yeah.
I find him to be a remarkable young man, and he has achieved what was seemingly impossible, unionizing a whole Amazon warehouse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I tweeted my joy at having met such an extraordinarily powerful and brilliant black man. And I put the picture, went about my business. That was like weeks ago. But then Twitter detective agency raised that up and said, here we go.
Right. Why he chose you.
This is how I entered that man's eye,
Yeah.
and not in a good way.
Right.
So I do not presume that Jeff Bezos knew my name or that I existed. However, he pays people
Yeah.
to track Chris Smalls and his activities and the activities of the Amazon Labor Union. And I definitely pinged on their radar with that tweet and that picture and
Right.
the praise for the man and his work.
Right.
And so absolutely 100%, Jeff Bezos and his small petty ass came at me, exposed me to threats, to danger,
True.
put a big old target on my back for his 5 million followers.
Right.
And if you can think of like the influence he has, a single tweet of his would have millions of impressions.
100%.
I mean, his influence is outerworldly.
Right.
And he put my tweet there
Right.
with my words, my picture, in the middle of a storm already brewing against me.
Right.
And he told the world, I ain't shit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my inbox, within like 5 minutes, 500 emails, just like that. I had to disable the contact me button on my website
Wow.
because people were coming in there calling me everything,
Sure.
but my given name. I don't open any of those emails, but they put it already in the subject line. Nigger, 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 nigger.
Right.
Cunt, bitch,
Yeah.
genetically inferior. I mean, I heard all kinds of things, it's just like, Jeff Bezos did that.
Yeah.
At that point, they had cut me off of Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my suspension.
So you were suspended for that tweet?
Yeah. Not the tweet against Bezos, the one talking about the Queen.
Right.
Yeah. So, first of all, I do not have any intention to rob or support Rob and Jeff Bezos.
Me neither. That's a song.
You know, this, of
Absolutely,
course,
yes.
is artistic expression that I'm listening to.
That was just Siri X, if y'all are.
And
Respect the jokes. Hashtag respect the jokes.
And I don't deny Jeff Bezos money, right? He owns a business.
100%.
He should earn from his business.
Absolutely.
Right? Also, the people that work for Jeff Bezos, I don't want them to lose their jobs either.
100%.
He's supporting the livelihood, of 1 million employees or et cetera. Right?
We'd like them to have breaks.
Exactly.
And be able to
pee.
Right. And be able to have a livable wage.
Exactly.
But like you said, we're not trying to take down Amazon.
Not at all.
Right.
If we're trying to take
Miracle?
down Amazon,
Miracle said that. Well, I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying that, I am not here to, take the food out of the mouths of people who work for Jeff Bezos.
Absolutely.
I am like Chris Smalls and other people just asking that they be treated better.
Yes.
And their rights as workers be respected.
Yes.
So, that. And okay, the timeline continues. So after that,
so you get suspended. Like, does Twitter send like an email, like saying like you've been suspended or your account's been suspended, or you just go to log on and you can't?
I just can't.
Okay, got you.
And what it says to me is that this tweet has been flagged for being inciting violence and being abusive and targeted harassment. That's what the notification said to me. And then it said that, do you want to delete it or do you want to appeal? And I said, appeal. And I wrote down, my reasons for not wanting to delete it, because I did not agree that I was inciting violence, nor was I engaging in targeted harassment.
Right.
But then while they're processing your appeal, you're locked out of the system. So you can't get on. So so the aftermath, when black women started to ride for me and start to get attacked themselves, and I didn't see that because that early I was already out.
Right.
And I was out for almost a week after. So everything I saw happening on Twitter was secondhand through my partner, Dr. Siri Alang. And she was the one kind of reporting to me what was going on. And, and of course, at this time, I had already had calls from, my administrators and things like that, saying that there would be a response. They didn't tell me what the response would be, but definitely this has come to the point that they've seen it and they're going to have to respond to it. And I said, and I also, at that point explained to them my perspective and where I came from and what the British monarch had done and what she represented and what I was, the truth I was telling and how I was speaking from not just my pain, but the collective pain of my family and my broader Igbo people. So, I told that to them and then they said, okay. And that was it. Whatever else I heard from them was when I was hearing it on the news along with everybody else, or when I saw the statement being released, et cetera.
Absolutely. And so I had two more questions and I want to open it up. Has this experience changed the way, because like you said, you kind of go in, you use Twitter, you kind of almost like prepare when like you said, to teach when you go in there. Has this experience changed the way you're looking at engaging in social media, or do you intend to continue to engage in the way you have?
So even in this, my most intense moment on social media, fundamentally, more than I am anything else in this world, more than I am a mother, more than I am a researcher, more than I am a sister, a community member, I am a teacher. And if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to teach.
Right.
And even in that very intense moment of profound pain and my outburst, my emotional outburst of deep, deep pain, I was teaching. I followed up explaining that there was a genocide against the Biafra people.
Right.
the who were trying, the Igbo people who were trying to form an independent nation of Biafra. They wanted to be separate from the country that the British Empire had imposed on us, which was this country of Nigeria, where they kind of took a bunch of independent nations who don't have anything to do with each other, don't even speak each other's language, don't relate. Many of them were even enemies and warring at the time, smushed them all together and drew these arbitrary lines around them and called them countries and named those countries.
Right.
And then said, now y'all get along and do a country for us and be a union for us. And then go through, contentious, bloody independence processes that never really yield any real independence. You're still part of a commonwealth afterwards.
True.
And you have the eternal meddling in your affairs and the eternal extraction of your resources and the eternal fomenting of divisiveness and infighting in order to be able to control you. This is what an oppressor does, a colonizer does. These are tactics and strategies of dominance.
Right.
We were subjected to that as a larger unit of Nigeria. And then when the Igbo people said, we want our own thing, let's go and do that. Well, it so happened to be that the territory that this new country of Biafra was going to be in included very, very rich oil reserves. And the British were not going to let go of that.
Wow.
And the people that they had put in power, their puppet Nigerian governments weren't going to do that either because they needed it for the Nigerian project.
Right.
And Britain needed it for its own interests and uses. So Great Britain got directly involved in this civil war and in the war for independence and decided that they would do everything to make sure that Biafra did not go.
Wow.
And this everything meant directly funding genocide of the people of Biafra. This is what happened. This is the historical record. I'm not saying anything that's in doubt or in question, right?
Yeah.
Even when it was happening during this period of 1967 to 1970, the BBC themselves were producing documentaries, decrying it, covering all the protests that were happening in Great Britain.
This is recent.
Yeah, this is very recent. My sister, for example, is turning 60 this month. And my sister was alive at that time. She was like 5, 6.
Right.
My other brother was alive at the time, and my second brother was in my mother's belly. She was pregnant during this time, running from village to village to escape the bombs that they were throwing at villagers. So when we tell you that 3 million people, some people have said up to 5 million, 6 million, or some people quote low. So the sort of average agreed upon number that you really cannot contest is about 3 million. When you think of a Holocaust,
Right.
this is a Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Now, the Holocaust that we typically were most familiar with is the most famous one against the Jewish people,
Yes.
where they, 6 million of them were massacred.
Absolutely.
So at the most sort of conservative estimation, they did half of us,
Right.
half that number. Civilians, these are non-combatants, and more than 1 million children alone starved.
Wow.
The British paid for that. And Queen Elizabeth II was ruler. She was monarch at that time. This was the government that she was supervising. Now, I don't buy this notion that she was just a statue, if you will.
I was going to ask you that question.
Or
You're reading my
a
mind.
decorative plant.
Right.
Or, some kind of, tchotchke sitting on the shelf.
Right.
This was a ruler. This was someone, the very crown that she had on her head, signifying the fact that she's a monarch, was made from plunder.
Right.
Diamonds, blood diamonds.
Absolutely.
So the throne that she's sitting on is a throne of blood. So you cannot say that she was just this little old lady or this figurehead that really had nothing to do with anything, and it was just the British government that were making their deals and, governing however they would. without relating it directly to her because she directly benefited her very position as a monarch, the palace that she lived in, the opulence, the obscene levels of wealth that she enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Were all paid for by our blood. And I don't say this figuratively.
Right.
And I don't say this as something that, this long remote past, let's say, of human enslavement, which on my mother's side, she's from Trinidad, my ancestors over there were enslaved by the British. I'm talking about recent living memory of people still alive today. Her money, her government funded our slaughter. And people expected me to be calm or to be, I don't know what they expected.
Right.
When the person who literally paid money for bombs and guns and military
Absolutely.
supplies to come and massacre your people is dying.
Right.
You're not supposed to dance. What's the reaction to that?
You know, I remember when a support petition has been produced.
Yeah.
4,000 or 5,000 people have signed this petition. So when you see that support, just how do you feel in that moment?
It felt so good, right? Especially since I was locked out of Twitter,
Right.
Battling this suspension, and having my account, temporarily suspended. And just seeing the outpouring of support from people who may or may not have agreed with how I expressed my pain, but certainly believed that I had a right to do it.
Absolutely.
In however I did it. And that was so important to me. And it was wonderful to see that because not only that letter with, 4,000, 5,000 signatures, was
like fellow
of academics,
journalists, students.
exactly, people in this country, in the United States and around the world. And it wasn't just academics, it was professionals, it was
Right.
community members, students, all sorts of people were there saying, we got your back.
Absolutely.
Now, once again, they were not endorsing what I did or the words that I use, but they were endorsing my right to speak my truth and to speak my pain and not be terrorized and abused and violently targeted for it when Jeff Bezos put that target on my back.
Absolutely.
And then, in addition to that letter, there was also a letter from my colleagues at my university, other faculty, staff, other employees, with more than 100 names on that letter as well. And then another letter from students
Wow.
at Carnegie Mellon who filled, last time I looked, like 8 pages of signatures. And not even on a list form, in like block text,
Wow.
one after
Wow.
the other, thick.
Beautiful.
And even on campus, they spray painted on sort of the main quad. There's this wall, this white wall, where they spray painted RIP colonialism on one side, and on the other side, let her speak. These were Carnegie Mellon students who did that. So when I saw all of that, the outpouring of support from the broader academic community and in general, people outside of my institution, along with my colleagues at my institution and the students that I serve at this institution. I cannot, and I'm, a words person. Words are my business. I'm a linguist. I cannot even find the words to tell you just how thankful and grateful and joyful I felt.
Beautiful.
In such days of pain, right? Because I'm a human being. I act tough, right? But you can only take so much abuse.
True.
So in all of that pain, to get this kind of support, I realize I have people.
Absolutely.
I have people.
Absolutely. That includes us at One Hood.
Yes,
as well.
indeed.
You got us too. Beautiful, beautiful.
That was deep. That was intense.
My partner, while all this was happening, she would read tweets to me sometimes or let me know what was going on. Like I didn't have access to to it myself.
Yeah.
But she would kind of narrate things or send me screenshots, etc. And another way in which I knew I had people were Nigerians and African Americans and other Africans and all types of people were waging Twitter wars as well.
Absolutely.
Behind this case.
Yes.
So that, in addition to those letters of support, I also saw like real material supports, even my trolls, because I'm always getting into it with, arguing about misogyny, for example, with Nigerian men, and sometimes African American men. You may remember me from the tweet. The misogyny, struggle has made me like some firm enemies and trolls, right? And even those joined up to go around to be there as soldiers, if you will, underneath whoever was coming to say. And how did they do it? Not by, abusing, but by facts. They would post links, they would post videos and saying, this is the information you are lacking to understand where she's coming from. And we agree with her because we share this story as well. Alaibo. Alaibo is the name of, like, it's the Igbo name for, like, our land. Ala meaning, like, our mother's breast, kind of. This is our turf. And Igbo land, like, came hard because this was our story. And this was our collective pain. And I was talking about it.
Beautiful.
But that was, African Americans as well. Like Black Twitter for me is not just African Americans. Black Twitter for me is also, just Black people in general on Twitter. And so the African American subsection of Black Twitter was also like riding hard, taking huge hits as well, especially the outspoken Black women, the feminists who came, right? So I was hearing this, like I wasn't seeing it, but hearing it kind of vicariously and also feeling that there was a lot of support in the letters, but a lot of support sort of in, on ground as well, where these battles were happening on Twitter, on Facebook, and elsewhere. The Queen never once apologized. She never once opened her mouth to say sorry. Everybody, the history records know what happened and what was done in her name and for her crown. They continue to dehumanize us. That's what it feels like.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. See you in the next video.